Hello, and welcome to episode 97 of the Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner, myself, Seth Hellman. Rabbi, how are we doing today?
Today, Baruch Hashem, things are good. It's even good outside. The sun is shining. The sunrise is earlier. The 6 o'clock minyan is not a problem anymore. Life is good. Should be better, but it's good. So we're going to be completing the cycle of learning the 3 chapters of Rambam on Friday. And for all of those out there listening, it's time to jump in and join the study of Rambam. So if you can't learn the 3 chapters, you can learn there's the mitzvah for the day. Go to Chabad.org, subscribe to the mitzvah of the day. It'll be good for you. Very good for you. So today we have with us 3 beards. So our guest today is Baruch Arky, who lives in Israel. We'll get to him in a second. But since we're all talking about Israel these days, it's really on top of our mind. It always is, but even more so these days that there's some serious issues going on there. And in the Rambam of today, Amru Chacham, the sages said, Kol HaSheichem Be'eretz Yisrael V'naisim Mechulin. Whoever lives in Eretz Yisrael, his sins are forgiven. Shnemar V'al Yemer Shachin Chalisia Ama Yeshu Ba Nesuy Oven. Here's a pasuk from Yeshaya. Oops, where'd he go? Stay there. Even if you walk 4 cubits in Eretz Yisrael, you merit the world to come. You never assess. You never know what you accomplished with your birthright trip. You gotta, and someone who gets buried in Eretz Yisrael is forgiven. As if the place you're in is an altar of forgiveness. Like it says, that the land will atone for the nation. And by punishment it says, Al Adama Tamei Tamus. Okay. Nonetheless, you can't compare someone who's included in living in Eretz Yisrael when he's alive to one who passed away. Nonetheless, the great sages, wise men would bring their deceased there and go and learn from Yaakov, Yosef HaTzadik. We have right in the Torah. Yaakov wanted to be Eretz Yisrael, Yosef wanted to be Eretz Yisrael. And interesting as it is, the Rambam himself got buried in Eretz Yisrael with some kind of a miracle, because he was living in Egypt at that time, and the horse and buggy that had his coffin just trotted over to Tveria, and that's where he got buried. Okay, so that's today's Rambam. Now, I want to also mention something that I heard from the Rebbe a couple of days. I get this WhatsApp from Jem, and they're doing business things. So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe had a way of describing certain situations in almost like in a very descriptive way, accurately descriptive, but also by the way you're talking about it, you start to realize how ridiculous it is. So it talks about you buy shares in a company, you get a piece of paper, and you go to sleep, and you wake up the next morning, and all of a sudden that paper is worth a lot more than it was yesterday. And so you think, oh wow, not a big deal. There's so many people that have shares in the company. What does that have to do with me? And everyone says, no, that's not the way to look at it. The whole company and all the shares were created so a Jew should be able to make some money to give tzedakah. So that's a very powerful perspective on life, which really comes from Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe talks about every Jew that does a mitzvah, wherever they are, in the times of exile, hastens to come Mashiach. And how does it affect the whole world? Because every mitzvah you do involves so many people in the world that help make it happen. Like we're talking to my friend Baruch Arky in Israel. Well, we didn't make the technology here. Well, some of it the Jews made in Israel, but not all of it. Like all those people that are online. BDS, like, well, you're using that computer that was made in Israel. You nasty hypocrite. We need to know the world is created for us. What does it mean for us? It means it's created for you. You have a responsibility for the whole world. We have a responsibility. So you think, oh, the world's created for me, I can sit back and be a king. No. You carry the burden for everything. Every step you take, you have to say, am I bringing godliness into the world? That's a little teaching from the Rebbe. So here we go. Baruch Arky, welcome to
Thank you.
Pos-cast.
Nice to be here.
All right. Nobody knows who you are,
Right.
so start from the beginning.
Well, I met Rabbi Posner many years ago when he still had some black in his beard, and
Yeah,
it
that's
was
why
an interesting.
Seth's in charge of the technicalities. It would have just bleeped you out and got you off. Okay.
Well, I guess we're here to talk about how we met and how that influenced where I am today.
Okay.
So the interesting thing is, I met through another Jew, but I met this other Jew not so much in a Jewish way. I grew up not following Yiddishkeit, but following.
Where did you grow? Where did you grow up?
I grew up outside Boston, basically.
Where?
Acton,
Oh,
Massachusetts.
was there a shliach there at that time?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
There is now.
Right, there is now.
Yeah.
I don't think he was there when you
No, it doesn't seem that way. But my parents and I were very devoted to a guru who was from India, and he would travel the world. He still does. And he taught a meditation, and he taught vegetarian diet. And those were the main things that he taught. And we were very fastidious with our observance in that.
So you were born into that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you know you would? Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll have to live with that. All right, don't worry. Whatever. We only have really famous and important people that get called, so we'll have to live with it. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you know you were Jewish? Did your parents consider some Jewish? How did that fit in?
There are a few things that happened that I consider now to be miracles. So my parents met, they were already involved with the guru. And there was no reason for one person who follows the guru to marry another person who follows the guru who's also Jewish. That was not a thing that people thought about. But my father at one point thought that he would be a celibate, like hermit or something, and just meditate all day and not get married. And the funny thing that happened was an older woman also followed the guru and not Jewish, saw my father and my mother and thought it was a good match. And she kind of gently nudged them in that direction, and they started dating, and my father changed his mind, and they got married. And not only they got married with a ksuba. And not only they got married with a ksuba, but they gave me a bris on my 8th day and gave me a name, Baruch. I consider that to be a miracle because there was no reason to do it. There was no pressure to do it. There was no thought that the guru was the most important thing to them. They didn't they weren't also going to synagogue at the same time. This was their religion.
Wow.
And another miracle is
Did you ever ask them why they did it?
They don't know. They can't explain it.
But you can, right?
Well, there's something called a pinta liyid. There are some things that are very difficult for a Jew to turn their back on. It's very hard for a Jew, no matter what situation he is in life, to say, I have no relevance to Judaism, to the Torah. There's some things that other people seemingly could disconnect completely from their religion that they grew up with, but I think that there's something in a Jew that needs to be in some way connected to the Torah. At the point that I started going to school, when I was entering into kindergarten, my father, who wasn't in a close relationship with his father, where he would get advice from him, suddenly my grandfather came home one day and he says, I think I found a school for your son. And my father says, oh? He said, it's called Merrimack Valley Hebrew Academy. Maybe you've heard of it. It's in Lowell. And they sent me there for 3 years. They paid for this. And they didn't know why. They were not teaching me the same religion at home.
So at home, you're still doing the guru stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would go to the school with a kippah, and I'd come home and take off my kippah and meditate.
Wow. And were you confused? Like, what was...
Oh yeah, it was very confusing because I was I was taught. Hold on a second. I think you have to say hi to a little boy. This is Laser.
Shalom. Do you speak English?
He does.
But he doesn't.
He got shy. Once the camera's on him, now he's shy.
He doesn't do international presentations. What's his name?
This is Laser.
Oh, Laser. Hi, Laser.
And you put a kippah on for this. Okay, that's good.
Oh, beautiful. What a tzaddik. Okay,
so yeah, no, I was doing two different things. I was going home to school and learning the words of the siddur and how to daven. Later on I forgot all of that because I went to a secular school and I never I had to relearn Hebrew when I got older. But these things happened, and you know Hashem does these miracles, and we don't always know why.
So basically, the first...
Okay, that's enough.
So the first 3 years you were in a Jewish school, coming home to a non-Jewish environment, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so as you're in your formative years, like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you're doing the guru thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was at that point there was some involvement because my grandmother on my mother's side was very interested that I should have a bar mitzvah, so we did that by reform. And here's a funnier thing.
We got another one.
Here's another one. You're happy? Okay. So another funny thing was the vegetarian diet. No, that's enough. The vegetarian diet was very important to my parents, very important to the guru. And I didn't know it because I learned to read my Torah portion in Hebrew. I did only the fourth aliyah. And the aliyah is only talking about how it's permissible to eat meat as long as you remove the blood. I never knew that until last year. I looked it up and I read it. I'll take a dam in my nefesh.
Your parents didn't know either?
No, they don't know Hebrew.
That's crazy.
They just listen to me learn.
Oh, wow. So a lot of Jewish seeds were planted early in your life.
Yeah. But I didn't consider it an important part of my identity. It's just something that people do. Like I had friends who celebrated other holidays, and we celebrated this, and that was just in the background.
Right.
But I did start having a lot of questions about the guru as a teenager. It started to disturb me that we would pray to him and think of him as God in a human form. I started to think, why should I think about God in a human form? Why shouldn't I just think about God being one, without form, without definition? Why should I believe? Why should I put this in the way? It seemed more in the way than a connection.
So the guru actually presents himself as God? Is that normal? Is that usual?
Yeah, the idea of the guru is God comes down in a human form and takes you back home. The creation story by them is that there was an angel who did some sort of devotion to God that earned him a reward, and the reward was that he got to have his own world populated with souls. And we're trapped here, and it's our own deeds, our karma, that traps us here and makes us have to remain here and come back and be reincarnated many, many times until we get the human form, and then we have the opportunity. We can do the meditation and become liberated. Excuse me a second.
We need to do a fundraiser for him to send him a jungle gym. Okay.
So no, but I started having a problem with that, and in fact, when I got to college, I started learning Hindi because the guru that I had when I was a child died, and the new guru had a very bad translator. The guru, I would ask him a question, the guru would talk for like 30 seconds straight, and the translator would go, "It's okay." He says it's okay. There's other people waiting. Keep going. And so I said, I have to learn Hindi because I have to ask him my own question. And the only question I had for him at the time, the only way I could think to phrase it was, who's going to take care of my soul after I die? And the guru looked at me and he said, "I will." And I was like, "I'm out." But a funny thing that happened while I was with the guru is I met someone by the guru who was also Jewish, and he was the first person that I saw leave the guru when I was a teenager. I never thought about it up until that point. People just, they find the guru and then they realize that's the truth and then they stay and that's what they do with the rest of their lives. But then this guy came and he left. And that helped me get on my thinking, like, outside of the box. Like this, there's other things. There's other options in the world. There's other ways of thinking.
So when he was in the, did you know him when he was part of it?
Yeah, I met him through the guru. We were at events together, and we got to know each other. What?
And then he left.
And he left.
And you were still in.
Yeah, pretty much. I was kind of questioning, but I was still in. Yeah.
But Judaism at that point was not an option. You didn't think, okay, I'll just go back to my bar mitzvah place and find religion there.
I didn't understand what Judaism was trying to do. The way I understood it is people learn a lot of rules and they apply the rules, and they're very afraid of what's going to happen if they break the rules, and then they die. I guess that's all I knew, and I didn't see the connection in it. I didn't understand what they were trying to accomplish. Now I understand what we're trying to accomplish, which I'll get to later. But at that point, it didn't seem like if I leave the guru, I'm going to go to Judaism. Okay. I didn't see it that way. And this guy who he left, he started going to other gurus and other similar things, and he had a certain kind of personality that was uncomfortable for me. He would, every time he would find a new thing, he would reach out to me. Not so much in a friendly way. He would push hard, like the last thing I found, I know it's not true, I was wrong, but this is actually it, and you have to come, and if you don't come, that means you're not really looking for truth, because I found the truth, and you better follow me. You're crazy if you don't. And I didn't go with him to these things because I didn't see them as relevant. I didn't see them as viable options. And but one day, he sent me a very simple email, not these walls of text that he used to send me in the past. He sent me a very simple email. I was going by Ben at the time. It just said, "Ben, we're Jewish, come to shul." And that's it. That's all he wrote. And it made me think, something is having an effect on him. And it also made me think, I can't tell him I'm not Jewish. I can't argue with this one. This one I can't back out of so easily. Because whatever it is to be Jewish, I don't know, but I know that I am. And I can't lie about that. So he was talking about your shul.
The Rebbe shul in Kemwood Square.
Yeah. So I called Rabbi Posner. And I think it was a Sunday, because I think you were like cleaning up from Shabbos. Because I called up and I'm thinking, this is an Orthodox rabbi that probably leads a congregation of very devout Jews and doesn't want to hear some outsider asking deconstructive questions, or what I would consider to be constructive questions, but I didn't think that they'd be accepted that way. Because by the guru, by the way, when I started asking questions, people immediately got disturbed. And the answer was, you just have to have faith. Why should I believe the guru is God? Because the guru is God. And if you believe that, then you're going to escape the cycle of birth and death and be liberated. I'm like, but how do you know? He goes, because you do the meditation, and more you do the meditation, more you'll see it's true. And but there was no foundation for it. There was just, you must believe, because the consequences of not believing are dire. And also, if you don't believe, it just shows that you're not spiritually sensitive. If you had the qualities of a person who is succeeding spiritually, you would recognize that the guru is God.
Okay.
So I didn't think, I figured other religions were like that too. And I didn't think that there was a rabbi in Boston that wanted to hear an outsider's questions about what this religion is and why we believe in it. So I called up, and Rabbi Posner said, listen, I'm very busy. I'll call you back in an hour. And I was like, great, I'm putter. I'm exempt. I don't have to do it. Like, I made my effort, and there's nothing to talk about, so I don't have to do it. It's okay. But he did call back, and what struck me about that conversation is he entertained the question. Why would I believe in Judaism? Everybody in the world has their prophet, and it's like if it sounds right to you or you feel a connection to it, you follow it, and if not, you don't. And I said, well, what's the basis that everybody's so certain that Moshe Rabbeinu is a true prophet? And if he is a true prophet, then I'll agree, the whole Torah is true. But how do we know? And we talked about the Matan Torah. How the Torah wasn't just given. Moshe did have private prophecies, that's true, but when Hashem decided to give the Torah to Am Yisrael, he did it in a public way. He made sure that it was clear that God was choosing Moshe as his prophet and choosing the Jewish people as his nation and giving us something that embodies Hashem's entire will and wisdom. That was revealed to an entire nation of people. So that's a historical event, just as any other historical event could be established by the witness of an entire nation.
Right.
Nobody goes and doubts that the Constitution was written by the founding fathers. People were there. People signed it. It's real. And our nation happens to have been founded divinely. But even if somebody would feel like that's unlikely, that's what happened. And people were there and they saw it. That was pretty much it. Like that really opened my mind to it. I said, I'm going to give this an actual effort. And I showed up for a Shabbos. Shabbos was kind of an amazing thing to me. I showed up to observe, not in the sense of actually observing Shabbos, but to watch what happens. But my friend encouraged me to put away my muktzah and whatever about Shabbos that I could understand to observe it. And as a result of doing that, we got locked out of the Chabad house in the middle of the night in February. We didn't have a key, and we were out. But I had committed already. And observing halacha with a commitment that it's to connect to the Almighty is a whole different experience. I realized that what all the people by the guru are looking for and yearning for, they want to escape the body, escape the physical world, and somehow commune with God in the form of the guru. But the Jews have God right here. When we keep halacha, even the most simple thing, when you put your right shoe on before your left shoe, you're having an experience present with God in the body at the same time. And, from observing that Shabbos, I knew I want more of that. That's what I want to do.
So eventually, I guess you went to yeshiva. Let's fast forward a little bit.
Sure.
Because what really interests us a lot is why you in Israel.
Yeah. Well, I went to an Israel Links, an organized Chabad trip to Israel, and my experience there was just even more flooring than the experience of Shabbos, being in the Holy Land, with the belief and the awareness that we're God's people, and this is the land that God chose for us. It was almost immediate that I realized I did not want to leave. So after the trip was over, I found out I could spend a few weeks in yeshiva at Mayanot, and a few weeks turned into a year and a half, and I just never felt right about leaving Israel. I did go back to America after that time, partly to assure my parents that everything was okay, and I'm just studying, not losing my mind. And I went to yeshiva in Morristown for a year and a half after that. After that, I got married, and my wife and I went to Kollel, also in Morristown, and we started to think about where do we want to live, where do we want to start a family. And since we both there's no strong observant Jewish community in Acton, Massachusetts, and where she was in Atlanta, she didn't have strong roots in any of the Jewish communities there. So living near either of our parents didn't seem like a strong option. So we're like, if we can live anywhere we want in the world, and it seems like we are free to choose that right now, then the obvious choice is Israel.
Wow. So your children were born in Israel?
My first was born in Morristown, New Jersey, and the other two were born in Israel.
Where in Israel do you live?
Beersheba.
So that's south, eh?
Yeah.
So
the city of the forefathers.
Yes. And what's going on there? Why is there feedback?
Yeah, I think it's just the microphone on his phone. He's going back into his speaker.
Okay.
Move my hand.
Tell us a little about the community you live in now.
It's wonderful. We have a small Chabad community, about 15 families, and we're very tight knit. We're very everybody's very good friends. We learn together, we daven together, we verbreng together, we share simchas together. We invite speakers and special events, and it's a very warm and motivated community. I feel like we all push each other to grow in our Yiddishkeit.
The rabbi there?
Yeah, Rabbi Sebag. He's from Montreal.
Ah, but what does he do full time?
No, he's mainly dedicated to his shlichus here. He does some other work, some translating and stuff, but he's mainly dedicated to being the shliach of our community.
Wow. You interact with other people, like does the Chabad community have anything to do with the other communities?
Yeah, like when I first moved here, there's a pretty big and strong Chabad community of almost entirely Israelis here. But the head shliach, Rav Zalman Gorelik, was always interested that there should be an English-speaking community to attract more Americans to Beersheba. So he helped form this with us, and it's growing. Thank God. So, but yeah, we definitely have a connection with the broader Chabad community of Beersheba.
And talk about the situation that's happening currently in Israel, happening since the year ago.
Personally, what I try to do with my family is use the force of simcha and betachon to get through this. I was studying what?
The force of
joy and trust in God. I feel like that's our part. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a general. I'm not a politician. I feel my family, what we can do is have joy and trust that God will take us through this. That we'll be victorious. And God willing, the soldiers and hostages will come home safely. My wife is involved in she's adopted a group of soldiers. She brings them food and candy and warm wishes from families. And I was learning laws of Shabbos every week during Shabbos in the merit of a couple of hostages that they should be returned. And I'm very happy to say they've both been returned. So I hope to continue that effort. And I impress on my what?
Your wife brings stuff to these soldiers. Like, where are they?
Well, they're near Gaza. I can't say exactly where, but they go into Gaza. They come back. They have a base outside Gaza.
Wow. How far is Gaza from you?
About, I guess about 45 minutes.
Not very far.
No.
It's like from Boston.
On October 7th, the whole morning was almost a constant barrage of rockets. We were in a small room, and there was no point to leave because every few minutes there was another siren. So we had no news at the time, but we obviously something unusual was going on because we do get rockets sometimes. It's not a place that you don't get rockets. We do get sirens, we do get rockets, but this was obviously unusual.
How do your children deal with that when you're in this small room and just rockets flying all over the place?
So the first few times we got rockets, my children were terrified, but I make sure, like I said before, I make sure my trust is strong. If I'm steady and I'm not afraid, and I can smile and I can hold them, then they don't seem to feel like they need to be afraid.
What do they know about who's sending them, why they're sending them? We saw your children there, Kanai and Nahara, very cute and very active and lively.
Well, those are the younger two. I don't think they understand anything, but the oldest one is 11, and he has some awareness that there are people, as there always have been, who hate Jews and don't want them around, and that just like any of the stories of Jewish history, Pesach, Purim is coming up. God will take us through it. He always has, and He always will.
So you're basically giving them a positive message of trusting in Hashem. Things will be okay.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Wow. Thank you for letting us into your life. You own a house there?
We don't own. We're renting.
A house?
Yeah, a house.
With a garden?
Yeah. We have, you want to see the sukkah area?
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite part of this house is the sukkah. 1 second. Can I turn the camera on? Does it do that? Okay, I don't know.
I've never actually used the phone app, so I couldn't tell you.
You turn it around the other direction, of course.
I don't see that it does that, but I'll go outside.
You just physically turn the phone.
Yeah. So we have the fire pit set up. We just had an event last night, but this whole area, I just put schach on top, and this whole area is becomes a sukkah. So we can have pretty much almost the whole community come and sit with us. There's wood on the ground because we were burning it for fire last night. It even has a sink that we can wash in, and this is where we have our sukkah meals.
Well, keep on going. Where's it? Oh, it's enclosed. It doesn't leave the outside.
Yeah. There's a wall around it, and we just lay the schach over it. It fits perfectly. I just roll out bamboo schach, and it's good to go.
And this is where kids play.
Yeah. We have a trampoline we set up sometimes. In the summer, we set up what is it, like 2 by 3 meter pool.
Can you walk out the front door?
Yeah.
I think Seth and I are going to take a trip over and visit in person.
There's little people over there. This is the front the house.
Why are you doing that?
We live in a lane, so we're not open to a road that people can drive on.
Oh, wow. Huh. Fascinating. This is so interesting. In Gemara Shabbos, talk about a mavui.
Right. But
Right?
this
So,
doesn't have a...
You have the courtyard and you have like this is it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. The Gemara comes alive, literally.
And there are lots of parks that we go
Are these all
and play
Jewish
in.
people living near you?
Yeah. Here and there's some non-Jews. It's mostly Jews, yeah. There are some Arab non-Jews. And in the place that we live, I've never seen any Arabs act unfriendly towards Jews. My son's doctor and their dentists are Arab ladies, and they're very sweet and very gentle, and they seem to have no animosity towards us.
And they live in Beersheba.
And they live in Beersheba.
Like there's different neighborhoods.
There are a lot of Arabs, especially Bedouin people in Beersheba. And I've heard there's peace. There's no trouble.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. It's so great. Okay, Seth, I think we're like I can send this for another hour and a half. Just walk around Beersheba with him.
Yeah.
But this is great. This is so good. This is so inspiring. There's so much connected to the Rambam. It's amazing. We're learning about Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah.
Here we see somebody living in Eretz Yisrael, and you pick yourself up from Acton.
Yeah.
Park yourself in Beersheba. Beautiful. Very beautiful. The Beersheba is named for the wells that Avram dug, and they made peace.
Right.
So it's the city of peace between the Jewish people, the children of Abraham, and the others that live there.
Right.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, wrap it up for us. Give us a concluding bracha or something.
A bracha. Well, all I can say is Mashiach now.
Amen.
It's been long enough. It's been absolutely long enough.
Seth and I are very calm now about like Mashiach is going to come. Israel. We know where we can check in. We'll bring along. We'll set up in the sukkah. We'll set up there. We'll
Right.
put a couple of cots there. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we all have to increase in acts of goodness and kindness and completely rely on God. Trust in God is essential to a Jew. That we don't worry at all because God is always taking care of us.
Amen.
Man. And with that, thank you so much for listening to episode 97 of Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner. We will see you next week.